Good evening and welcome to the Digital Dirty Talk, episode number 3, the fat bloke, the skinny bloke, and this evening we are finally joined by Martin James, the bearded bloke. So we are exceptionally accepting of very different shapes, sizes and beards, and it's brilliant to have everyone who's linked in. So we've had quite a few views. Actually, we're quite surprised by the number of people who've listened to us bullshit our way through. It's perfectly fine. Thank you very much. Continue to do so. So we're really lucky to have Martin, who's joined us this evening, because he is a very, very busy man. Among the many hours I have, no doubt he spends grooming his beard. He then does also a lot of videography, photography, and spends a lot of time with some exceptionally talented people around the world. And his content, which is used all over different businesses and industries, is something that draws a whole lot of attention to him and to the work that he does. Very fortunate. Thank you, Martin, for joining us. And of course, we have Benjamin, the skinny bloke. Good evening. Welcome to the show once more for putting up for us. We've had a great week so far, just compiling some crazy ideas of what to talk about. So actually, before we ask questions, before we talk about hot topics, I am going to tell you about the number one freaking topic of the week. That's very easy. Broke the internet. Completely hilarious. Joe Wicks farting live on his show. This is going to be the holy grail for baked beans, because in an interview with Marc Wright, he then turned around and went, well, I had baked beans for morning breakfast. And he didn't just say baked beans, he said Heinz baked beans. Well done, Heinz baked beans. You've just got a whole load of new advertising links with Joe Wicks. If you're going to pay him loads of money, because basically the guy took a great ripper, as he said, live on his YouTube channel. 800,000 people saw it, as he didn't realise he was live. This whole public apology for 5
I think they more heard it than saw it.
Why did he apologise? It's a natural thing. And in fact, it was brilliant. It's exactly, he's humanised. Perfect. He's no wonder the wonderful boy of the world. He's a normal person. Thank you very much. Well done, Joe.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know about it until just now, so that's always interesting.
The digital stuff we know, it's amazing what we know. Anyway, so the sales last year for internet was huge, and the average over the last few years has been around sort of 20-ish%. Last year, 2020.
Sales. Hang on. What? Sales about what? Sales.
Just sales. Just sales of return. So Ben will explain in a minute, because he's really into this stuff. This is sex talk. This is sex talk for Ben, all right? So just he'll elaborate in a second. But basically, overall internet sales for businesses have gone through the roof, up to over 35%. Some analysts are saying, oh, it's going to fall in 2021. Well, they screwed that bloody prediction up when they didn't realise another lockdown was coming. And it's interesting because, Ben, your theory on this is quite good when we talk about customers and businesses and what they should be thinking about when they're selling online. Over to you, Benny boy.
No pressure then. So I think, Martin, it's looking at internet sales as a percentage of total sales as the single defining metric for business health, which is obviously quite a bold thing to say. But if you look at lots of the businesses that have recently failed, they haven't really embraced digital. They're not making that much money from digital. And I'd say that the benchmark of 20% means that if only 20% of your sales is coming from online, digital's not a priority, because if it was, it would be more than 50%. And if we look at we've talked about it before, but ASOS.
I'm too distracted. I'm trying to see if I can see a porthole in the back of you, behind you. Are you on a boat?
Like there, yeah, I am. Yeah, hang on.
I'm just like, is this like that? What was that famous DJ where they pirated?
Radio
broadcasting.
Yeah, Pirate FM, Pirate Radio. Yeah. Hey, you can't complain. That's not.
Like, is he on a boat or something?
That's not far from where we're from, mate.
So around the corner. Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to help the viewers, because I know they're going to be thinking the same thing. He's on a boat.
Yeah. Boat, beach hut.
He's a superstar. He's a superstar. He's in Monaco, really. Sorry, wishes.
Sorry, viewers. Sorry.
So like if you look at digital as a percentage of total sales, I think that's a really quick and easy way to measure the health of a business. Now, obviously, if you're selling products, I don't know what those products might be, large oil drilling rigs, then you're probably not going to be able to sell those online. But for the mainstay of retail businesses, you might find that digital should be represented more than 20% of sales. So it's grown, interestingly, year on year, it's grown from 20% to north of like 30, 35%. But I still think that's underrepresented.
Since COVID? Sorry.
Yeah,
Since
so it kind of
since COVID's kicked
from,
in, growth has been exponential, basically.
yeah, well, I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? It's gone from like 20 to 35. So it's still not a majority of sales, given that like shops were closed for the best part of what, 3 months last year. You know, and I think that, and that's, I think that's massively overrepresented. If you took out Amazon and ASOS and others like that are only online, and I wonder what the actual true number is. I think it's accelerated people's adoption of digital, but I still think it's massively underrepresented.
I think digital sales, digital marketing, advertising, I think so much has gone through the roof. I have a friend who owns a digital marketing company, much like yours, and they've been up and running and got bigger bookings and bigger clients than they've ever wanted. So it's crazy to see what's going on in our industry or throughout all different types of industries.
Well, it's interesting because it ties into some other news this week as well, which sits around obviously the Arcadia Group. We talked about this a few times in the shows over the last few weeks, and Arcadia Group looks like it's going to be potentially taken over by Next. That's going to be a really interesting purchase if that happens. Next have a really great track record of taking companies from, you know, just the high street and the shops online. They did it with a number of different acquisitions. One of the biggest ones they had was Lipsy, the dress company. They took that online pretty much within the first 3 months of owning them and massively changed their business model. So that's an interesting one. Some other facts as well. Just looking at we have a little facts board. You see. We have a little Miro board that has our facts on. The interesting one is Primark still refusing to go online. It's going to cost them too much. Question over that. I think they've lost over £1 billion globally now. You know, so was that a mistake of Primark? Will they eventually change their mind? Is consumer request, which has been quite thriving for them to be online, is that going to push them to make the leap, or are they just basically too late now and they're going to continue to be the local market store? If you look at
Primark's digital data that's, you know, estimated or publicly available, they've estimated to get 1 million visitors a month to a site you can't buy from.
Well, it's funny you talk about Primark because we've got 2 very young children, and as we all know, people who have kids, they grow at a rapid rate, probably quicker than the actual growth market rate at the moment. But I've been trying to get clothes for the kids from Primark, and I only realised probably 6-7 weeks ago that you can't buy Primark clothes online for the kids. I was like, No. So yeah, there you go. There's one potential customer plus 999,000 more.
Yeah.
But it's weird. They are. You find
just making a guess. Just as a guess, right? So just we'll just take a real baseline number. Okay, so if they did 1 million visitors in a month, and we take just basic averages, right? 2% of people purchased, and of those people, 2% that purchased, they spent 20 quid. Just as a baseline.
Go on in.
That would get them 400 grand a month, which you would go, well, that's not very much, is it? Yeah, bearing in mind they're doing zero digital, right? They're not pushing people to the site. That's just people that are they're you know.
Their website, their SEO, their advertising, their marketing to hit online. What would the bill be at the end for a year? Can you imagine what it would be? Just to let everyone know, obviously it'd be a forecast, a 10-year return.
They wouldn't need to.
You don't think they need to?
No. They're natural. The natural market base that they serve know that if they know they're online, they're online. It's as simple as that. You know, ASOS do not spend as much now on that sort of paid advertising or SEO anymore. It's interesting topic that we'll cover in a few weeks' time in a lot more depth around how SEO itself is changing massively as of May this year, where it's not going to be backlinks and keywords and that make the difference. Is your site usable? Is it mobile? Google are making some hectic changes, and Ben, I sent that stuff over to Ben ages ago and went, we have to watch out for this, and it's something certainly we should talk about in one of our chats in the next few weeks. But from a perspective of what they had to spend, they're an established brand massively in Europe, especially. They wouldn't have to spend a lot. They just need to build the bloody system to get it up and online. Take the teething problems for the 18 months that they'll get, work out how they're going to operationally manage it, go from there. I think their challenges and what they've said is they're worried about the returns and the returns policies and how to deal with that. More cost expensive. However, 2%, 20 quid average order, which I think their average order actually in store is around about £35 from what I remember. They wouldn't. I just don't think they would do returns. I think you just say it's a non-return service. And now that will hit some people, or they have to return to store. That will hit some people.
Yeah,
but
return to store would be the answer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so that's 35 quid is 700 grand a month.
Yeah.
But you would have to offer returns. You can't not offer returns. But you might do the Sports Direct model, which is you can return it and you can bring it in store. And by the way, it'll cost you 15 quid.
Yeah,
I'm exaggerating,
really?
but they make it really difficult to return. They can't charge you for it, but it's a really difficult thing as a process. They don't want you to return anything. They can't refuse you,
and that's
but they make it hard.
The thing. There's no customer loyalty anymore at all, which is sad. We don't choose not to be loyal customers. We've just got too many options in front of us now, and I can give you a good example of that. With customer loyalty, and if Sports Direct are treating the customers like that, then no one's ever going to stick around, are they? They just go somewhere else very quickly and easily buy their iPhone. We've got I don't eat fast food. I hardly ever eat it, but we've got a company here, I won't name them, who are phenomenal. They do the most amazing burger. Now, however,
you can name them, we feel fine about that. You can name them.
Oh, okay. No, I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
I love them.
You better tell me about them. I want a text message with this on because I want to know now.
You won't be able to get it. It's just local.
I'll drive up. I've got a motorcycle. I'll be there in about 45 minutes.
And they just deliver. They just service food locally. And I travel a lot and I eat a lot. And I'm a complete snob for food. But this stuff is amazing. Best burgers in town. Best chips. I don't even like burger and chips. Anyway, long story short, they can't open this Friday because of COVID due to personal problems. And there's a few other companies just popping up now, or out of the blue, out of nowhere. So instead of us ordering from them now, we've already gone and ordered with someone else ready for Friday. And if they're good enough, we probably won't go back. So people like Sports Direct are making it difficult for their customers. Or, you've got a lot of these renewal problems at the moment where automatic renewal with subscriptions for software. And if you want to cancel, you need to remember stuff that you were given when you signed up. And then have to have that to hand to cancel it.
Yeah.
You're never going to go back again, are you? Once you cancel.
It's interesting, though, you say about the loyalty stuff, and I think it's something that's really, it's quite a deep subject, but I think loyalty comes from very big brands. So, example, I am very loyal to Under Armour for certain clothing. Asics, I only wear Asics trainers. I get my shoes from one particular brand, Herring Shoes, because they are absolutely brilliant. It's really weird. I have some really sort of, obsessive behaviours. Well, as everyone knows from you lot. Here's one for you, though. Go on in, petrol heads. Audi are fucked. They have had to cut their car production by 10,000 this year because they can't get the computer chips. Whoops. Oh dear.
Oh.
So if you were thinking iReview of ordering that Audi R8, basically the big shiny car that goes really, really fast, a survey said, go get a fucking Skoda.
Oh no. It's the whole problem with that computer chips and stuff. It's invested in cars now, and they are investments. Funny enough, I've launched a new YouTube channel.
Yes, we'll come on to that in a bit. Don't worry.
But if you're investing in cars, which a lot of people do if you've got money, so if you're earning over, let's just say, $1 million a year, then investing in cars is a realistic option. But they're changing it. They're getting rid of petrol. They're getting rid of diesel in the end. The whole game of the car industry is up in the air. And where do you put your money if you've got that kind of cash to invest? Do you go over to Tesla? Do you go over to Apple with the new hybrid cars that are coming? Yeah.
Nah.
Scary stuff.
None of that. Petrol and diesel. The diesel probably will phase out quite quickly. Petrol and actually, fossil fuel related cars, pipe dreams and smokes, mate. I mean, the government, they say about, A-class drugs and B-class drugs and C-class drugs. The government are completely on them if they think they're going to get rid of that stuff in a hurry. Not happening. Love Boris's idea. He's definitely been smoking something, but he's definitely out there with something because it's not feasible. And I can tell you that from experience. I'm working with a particular client at the moment in the energy sector, and just the infrastructure is just not there, and the technology for batteries not there. And the German companies who are looking at it, who are probably the most advanced in Europe and probably in the world with this sort of stuff, they're just not able to do the infrastructure. So until that becomes available and governments decide who's going to pay for it, our survey said not likely to be a quick one.
Yeah. Pop quiz for you.
Oh, you're going to slip that in? Go on and slip your pop quiz in. Go on in.
I've got, and it's actually 2 parts. Oh. One is for Mark because this just made me laugh my head off. But the first one is to do with the most streamed shows in the US for 2020. So across Netflix and Prime and Disney and all those. So this is based on millions of hours. Okay, so you've got to guess, right? Okay, I'm going to give you 3. Okay,
3 guesses. Go on, in, Martin. Go on,
right. Because I think trying to guess what they were would be that's quite hard. So, candidate 1 is the Disney Mandalorian. Okay, that's candidate 1. Candidate 2 will be that show, The Tiger King, and then candidate 3, I'm going to go with The Office. Do you remember the American version of The Office, the David Brent thing? The US?
Do you know what?
3 choices.
Comedy in their lives right now. That could be
is number 1.
What do you think it is, Mark?
I think it's number 2. It's The Tiger King. I think that's the most streamed one.
So you think Tiger King?
I want to say Tiger King, but I'm going to go because of the pandemic and everyone's mental health and everyone looking for a good laugh and a good time. I'm going to go with Mandalorian. So,
you ready for the numbers?
Go on in.
Yeah.
Okay, so in number of hours. So the Mandalorian had 242 million hours of viewing content. Okay?
Across the globe.
No, just in the US, I think it is.
Okay.
In 2020. Tiger King was 260 million, so more. The Office.
I knew I should have gone with Office.
952 million hours.
Right.
Jesus.
Okay.
Christ.
That's just.
Who's making the pennies out of that then?
Hey.
Who's making the pennies out of that?
That David Brent and what's the guy? Ricky Gervais and the other guy. What's the American lad called?
I've never watched it.
You never watched The Office? Very good. It's very clever stuff. David Brent, he's the owner. Ricky Gervais is the owner, isn't he, on the copyright of it? So he's making a killing. Oh, Jesus, he must be loaded.
That's nuts, isn't it? So I thought Mandalorian. So that's the that's
should have gone with Office.
Right. This one's for Mark. It actually reads as Mark's shopping list. This is so bad, right? So they've there's some people that have done and looked at what the most popular products were purchased during lockdown. So what we found was lots of people were going to convenience stores, like local shops, rather than going to Tesco and the other places. And
KY jelly from there.
Condoms.
Got to be KY jelly and condoms and stuff.
I've got to have a look. So no, it's not.
Latex gloves.
So we've got the top 10. I like number 11 and 12, but I'll go with the top 10. So
coming in.
So this reads as Mark's shopping list.
Excellent.
Number 1, white bread. Number 2, Peter's sausage roll. Number 3, Robert Wiseman's dairy skimmed milk. Number 4, Pepperami. Number 5, Dairy's Cadbury milk. Number 6, Kinder Bueno. Number 7, Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Oh, how's that on there?
Number 8, mineral water. Number 9, Bobby's Ice Snapper. And number 10, a pack of party ice cubes. Number 11, Stella. Number 12, K cider.
Okay. So we're missing number 13. Someone's got to be in the top 20. It's got to be blackcurrant. It's got to be snakebite.
Hang on. So that's a middle-aged white guy who lives on his own, hasn't got a girlfriend,
And wanks too
and has
much.
given up on life. Yeah.
He's
The
basically
only thing you're missing off there is toilet rolls, isn't it?
Yeah.
Top 10.
That's because you can't get hold of them. So basically, you've just described someone who's got a premium access to Pornhub. Excellent. Question, I suppose, for me is what visuals and video and content makes a difference now? How has it got to change for businesses to really make sure what the customer is purchasing is what they're actually going to be happy with? It's like nowadays, I mean, the content is king, right? This was a coined phrase that was used probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Content is king. You've got to have your content right. And a lot of it was focused on written content, how you write about your product. At that point, it was really low-end shit that people think about photography and about how to phrase a video for something if you wanted to show how it worked. And there's a couple of companies from my perspective, Martin, stop me if you think I'm wrong, that do some of this really well. DJI, the drone company, when they launch a new product, my God, their landing pages are full of decent photography, lifestyle stuff with relevant imagery and video. What have companies got to do?
They're cutting edge.
Yeah, they are.
They're cutting edge, much like Apple are. What they're actually doing, DJI and GoPro, who are all part of the same umbrella, they're using content that has been actually created by their users. And I think that is a phenomenal idea. What other way do you want to see content than original content created by the creators? That says it all.
How do you incentivize people to do that, though, Martin? I mean, because again,
how they're doing it?
As Brits, we are arseholes. We don't do shit for free. All right?
No. But people want to share.
It's their product that they're using to share that content. So
yeah, I think it's they're making you proud to share what you've created as well. That's something they're creating. They're setting a fire up inside people so that they can go off and create some content, hoping that the world's going to see it, because it's so important for us at the moment to be praised for anything we create. And the way we do that at the moment, the way we get our fix or our drug, is from social media. So you'll go on to YouTube. You'll go on, I've been on YouTube too much. Go on Facebook or anywhere like that, and you'll get an instant fix from a photo you've taken, which is a like or a comment. And these companies such as DJI and GoPro have looked at that model for what social media is doing and have applied it to product releases and given people ahead of time the products to play with. And then you want to be like these people. You're going to go off and create that content. You're going to get that instant fix. You're going to feel appreciated. We live in a very shallow world, and looking at marketing from that point of view, very clever and tapping into the pipeline of exactly what is hot right now, and it is that kind of content.
Yeah. So what about so that's a danger area for you. As a professional.
No.
I rephrase that because it's not.
No.
You work in a different area. But I mean,
no. It is a danger for photographers, for videographers. People who aren't established, people who aren't willing to change, people who aren't able to work with the flow. Absolutely, I'm watching photographers fall by the wayside right now, and I'm still earning. I'm earning very well because I've adapted and overcome that already, and I've fought ahead a few steps. I think it's just understanding what's going on around you and being able to move with the times. But the biggest question I get asked is, what do you think about iPhones and that?
Hold that thought, because it's interesting. I have one written right here. It's on our board.
All the time.
Exactly from this board. Are camera phones and idiots a threat?
Absolutely not. No, it's just giving... Right.
Hang on. Are you on a boat as well now?
He's on a boat. He's in his galley. He's in his galley. He needs a bottle of port.
I was going to get my pipe, but oh my God, I look like a sea dog. Very ship there. Right, anyway. So where are we going with this? iPhones? No.
Idiots. There's two parts to this question, right? iPhones in general.
So yes, there's idiots.
And the facts that they're good quality. You've done some stuff where I've seen previously have gone, holy shit, I've used this. This is what I've created with an iPhone. Now you have a creativity within you. It's part of your bloodstream. I expect that from you. But then you get the idiots who go, I'm a photographer. I've got an iPhone 12. It's brilliant. I'm going to photograph a wedding. You fuckwits. Right.
Once a year.
Two questions. Number one.
Right. Idiots.
Idiots. Go
Yes,
for idiots.
man. But they're not idiots. They're ill-informed. They're under an illusion, under a spell.
You're so polite.
Know?
You're so
You're
polite.
giving this phone.
You should do
My
TV.
mum, 73 years old, is given a phone. She goes down to the beach and takes a HDR photo with a beautiful sunset. Wow, you know. But what she's done is hold the phone up and push the button. And do you know what? If that's where technology is going, that's great. However, for a professional to then go and do that, they've got to think of outside of that box. How do I keep doing what I'm doing? Is I keep thinking outside of the box. I now have so much work that I give it to other photographers who are trained by me. But what I can't teach them is, it's the type of show where we can swear, is to grow some bollocks and go out of the box. Now, what do I mean by the box? I mean by the box, you're at a event which is a exhibition. So you've got exhibition stands everywhere, and you've got the customers walking everywhere, and you've got people in their stands chatting and communicating. Great. Have a look around you. How many people are taking photos with their iPhones? Thousands. How many of those iPhone photos are probably going to be better almost than what I can do at times? Probably, you know, there's going to be competition between me and an iPhone photographer. What are they not doing? Well, number one, they're not getting on, let's just say, a step ladder and coming out of the crowd and looking down on the crowd and looking for those angles and that creativity beyond holding the phone at their eye level. And that's creativity that can't be taught. And it's the same when it comes to weddings. I've been to a wedding, 2019, where the photographer was an iPhone user. And it was just crazy to see because he was doing some beautiful stuff. He had off-camera lighting and he was doing it all with his phone and he was doing great stuff. But he didn't know how to pose the bride and groom. They had to pose themselves. And if you don't know how to pose and no one's showing you how to pose, you're going to get that mum and dad photo. You know, it's not sexy. It's not wedding. It's not good. It's not fashion. It's not models. So yes, technology is catching up, and yes, more and more people are capable of doing what I do, but not everyone's got the creative gene. And if they have got the creative gene, then they also need the experience. And to get the experience, you have to be in the game full time. So it's not anything to worry about. And if you think about so many other industries where technology has taken over and done a better job, you know, that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? That's what we're doing. It's AI, it's technology.
But your key miss here is that all creative people have really great beards, and you and Ben are right. And you know, I'm pretty much screwed. I have a partially ginger beard, and it doesn't grow properly. So hence why I've got
greys sprouting out.
I mean, but that's elegance. That's elegance and wisdom.
You would be shocked to know that most of the brands we work with do not measure the impact of content.
That's because they're knobheads.
So, like, here we go. Simple.
Okay.
So, you're a brand and you're driving in this example. Okay, you've got a bit of creativity, whatever it is. It could be a short film, or it could be a great piece of photography, something like that. But you are driving people, in this instance, to a website. You might deploy it in social and all these other channels, but you're driving people to a website, and that website might transact online if we're taking those 35% of people that we looked at earlier that transact online. You'd be shocked to know, of the people that do that, first and foremost, they're not tracking whether people looked at that content or not. Secondly, they're not measuring, of the people that looked at that content, how many of them purchased. And thirdly, of the people that looked at that content, what were they doing? What was the content there for? Was it there for research purposes? Was it there for purchase purposes? Or was it there for brand building? And I'm continually shocked at how much money people spend on creating amazing, amazing photographs or films. And then they go, there we go, next. Right, what's the next campaign that we're doing? And they've not even
utilise it.
What we're doing. And you're like, hang on a minute, you've created all this stuff. Do you know that the picture of that green car work loads better than the red car. And actually, when you use the red car, less people are interested in the green car. Actually, what you'll find is people that view the green car are more likely to come back. And we know that it only takes 3 visits for them to book a test drive. And of those people that came and looked at a green car, 10% of them looked at a green car. And of those, 90% of them have actually booked a test drive. Shit, maybe we should make everything in green then. I mean, that's obviously me being a little bit too geek and only going from
no. That's where it's going, isn't it? That's exactly. It's not where it's going. That's where it's at. Now, who's looking at this content? Because depending on who looks at it, depends on how I'm going to photograph it. So if it's, let's just go real basics. If it's a catalogue for underwear, then I'm going to shoot it a lot more respectably, a lot more clean cut, a lot brighter lights, less mood lit. However, if this is an underwear shoot for Pornhub, like we discussed earlier, then I'm going to bring in dramatic lighting. I'm going to get in a lot closer, and we're going to turn up the heat, and we're going to have a sweat in, and we're going to make that image, same model, same scenario, same setting, look completely different. Where's your content going? Who's your content for? Et cetera, et cetera.
So this is
that's what people don't think about.
So this is the interesting thing, is taking that next level for when you talk about professionalism. We go back to that question about idiots with iPhones. It's not just about the creative that flows through your bloodstream and your magical, multicolored beard that is eventually going to come towards you as well. It's also knowing to ask the right questions. So now what you're going to have to do, and you talk about your evolution. Your evolution now is starting to step into where I enter into, which is your customer experience, your user experience, and going, who are my demographic? If I'm shooting for this type of demographic, I need to do it this way. And if I need to do it different. So you're having to really take on a whole new different entity and understand the data that perhaps even Ben and I, now you probably just touched it at a level that you and I can just go, well, who's the demographic, where they sort of live. Ben would obviously go a whole lot deeper because he's a proper full-on skinny geek, and that's fine. But that's where I think everything's going to have to go to at some point. Everyone's
but Mark, here's the thing, right? So you talk about Martin. You were saying about technology kind of taking over machines and learn bots and everything else. So I think for the 80% of stuff, yes. For the mediocre and beyond, yes. So think of ASOS again. Their key pages, their fat pages, the homepage.
Sponsored by ASOS. It just scrolls across the page.
Exactly. Or, okay, we'll choose booking.com. Right?
So for that, because I need some holidays, so we can get some discounts going.
We've still got to go snowboarding, and he skis.
Yes, I thought about that the other day.
We have got to do that. So
think about that.
But you look at those guys there, and the homepage and their key landing pages, they will merchandise manually, right? Because they'll know that photo works well there, and that photo works well there, and Poyenza in Mallorca is, it needs to have this, and this is the average price point. But actually, we know as humans this works better, because that's the feedback that we've had from customers. Now, for the other 5 million web pages, when we're going to San Jose and Ibiza or somewhere else like that, that's a lower, it's a small destination, or I'm booking a hotel in Bermondsey, or I'm booking a place in the south side of Plymouth on Billy Bob Road, which I don't think even exists. They'll let the computers and the AI do it. And I think what's really interesting is that human interpretation bit's really important for the 20% that matters. And in the same way, the creativities, you've got some people that are doing automated photo shoots and taking unsplash photos and then editing, putting a filter and then a bit of a text on the top. That kind of works for that 80% when it doesn't matter. But when it really matters, when you're doing a new product launch or something like that, just doesn't cut it. So I think
not until you can't risk it. You need to have someone who knows what you need. I don't think we'll ever get rid of humans. That's the whole thing, isn't it? We're talking
exactly.
About we'll never get rid of humans. We need them. We need them. There is a market that still want human interaction. There's a market that still want humans to be involved. The greatest thing I heard is a Will Smith movie, iRobot. Some of you have both seen it.
Love it.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good film. I think it's aged now, but there was a moment within the film where a robot can make a wooden chair in seconds, whereas the human, it took him weeks. There's going to be people like me who'll go, yeah, do you know what? Just give me four chairs made by the robot. That's fine. And I'll just slide them back under my table. Then there's going to be that small minority of the market, the 20% that you're talking about, that are going to want that chair that's crafted by a human and appreciate that and understand the painstaking hours that went into creating that. And I think that's always going to be so, no matter how long we live. We're always going to want that extra touch.
When you talk to somebody and you talk about quality and you have an engaging conversation about what it is you're trying to look for, and that person is feeding back to you, that's the quality. When you talk about a robot and a human making a chair and the length of time, it's about the human understanding the material they're working with, understanding how they're doing it, how they're crafting it. Then they're making it not for haste, they're making it for longevity. And that's the difference, okay? I would rather pay somebody to take their time and build something correctly and make something correctly with quality invested into it, rather than a machine churning it out because it's what it does every fucking day. And that's where you come onto the content, so we come onto what you pay for as a service. Martin, people employ you because not only are you creatively absolutely at the top of your game and going higher and willing to push the boundaries, but you're also there to create a quality and the environment to which you embrace and make others see through your work. And that's what a lot of people miss. So paying,
I'm going to be honest,
is interesting.
I think people invest in my services and what I do because of me, not necessarily, yes, I'm good at what I do, but there's millions of people who do what I do that are good at what I do. People invest in people and they want that reassurance from people that not everyone can give you. You know, it's another good example, you know, of just the world is moving so fast paced. How important is customer service right now? You know, going back to our old, was it JJB's
Big, yeah.
story with the customer service at the beginning? Was it that one?
Oh, no, that was
Sports Direct.
JJB don't exist anymore. Christ, you really
So
are
they
showing
not-
you really are proper locked down. That grey hair is well and truly deserved on your mush now.
I'm all in Under Armour now. Under Armour online. Great customer
Got
service.
up a brand.
But no, I am still customer service orientated. I still want to speak to people.
I'm on brand.
Is it Under Armour? Nice.
I'm on brand.
What have I got on today? No, just Boss.
You're on Boss today.
Just in Boss today. But okay, so a great example of the world moving at a rapid rate and how important customer service is. And yes, we've got all these stats and figures, and yes, AI can do everything, but people still want people. Perhaps that's just because I'm getting older and my generation is still remembering customer service, whereas the kids now don't want nothing to do with it. But I do my blood tests online instead of going to my doctors because it's COVID. It's just so much easier to do it that way. So I order my blood test kit, comes home, and I do my blood test and I send it back in the post. And it's all done through AI. No one gets involved in my orders. And then my results come up online in a couple of days. However, they didn't. It actually got lost in the post. It's quite a scary thing to have your blood lost in the post because, you know, what my missus went, what if that splashed on a murder scene or something? And I'm like, Anyway, after 7 days.
She thought that, immediately thought that. Great.
Great. So after 7 days, it didn't show. Now, I ended up speaking to an AI for like 2 or 3 hours in total, just not getting anywhere, keep getting back in a circle, back into that loop. And then I finally got onto a human who actually could understand my problems and the urgency of it and was able to deal with it. And that's the problem we've got, is when the world doesn't know where we are, we're trying to deal with 2 different generations as well. You know, people who are born into non-AI and are happy to deal with that, and then customers who are not in the AI world and just want real people.
It comes back to the same thing, that if you can answer 80% of the questions with a bot, like how do I file a prescription, and you know, where's my nearest doctor, or what's the wait times, or when can I book online, or what's my password, and all that stuff. That's great because it frees up resource. But in scenarios where it doesn't fit the normal, that 20%, if it doesn't fit the normal, that's where I think you need that interpretation. You need that human element. It's like, oh, actually, you're doing this thing. It's a little bit different. You don't meet the normals.
Well, can I just point something out? When I think this is the interesting thing. This is laziness that's kicked in here. All right, a little bit. And this is the truth. AI bots that answer your basic questions are basically lazy ass people who can't be bothered to read the FAQs. That's the truth. That's what it's replaced, and that's the honest truth. Most websites now are removing FAQs because they've got a bot.
In the work that you do, which historically has been with other humans, you might argue, if you're photographing stuff or people, with lockdown and everything else, how has that impacted what you do? How has that changed that whole, not just the interactivity, but the setup, and then be able to get near people, or no, oh, no, not your arm there, not your arm there. I want to touch you and put your arm there. How's that work?
Yeah.
How's that happened? I mean, human subjects, or even props, because you're not going to go and move. I don't know, a car or a sofa or something else that you're shooting, because you're setting up.
We are currently working on a big production at the moment up in Surrey, and it's a really interesting environment. If you can imagine, a film set is very busy. You've got a lot of artistic, creative people just swanning around, and it is a very close environment. There's never anyone more than half a meter away from you at times, especially when you're actually shooting. However, with COVID, it's a very, very different scenario. And number one, obviously, you're shooting in a face mask, which for anyone who's a photographer out there or a videographer, I feel for you, it's impossible because it is steaming up your lens. So you've had to adapt. I now shoot through the screen like I'm holding a smartphone, but I'm not, because I can't see otherwise. So that's something I've adapted. And what is also remnants of being back at school is you've got someone looking over your shoulder constantly, in the form of health and safety, who are now hired to be there to make sure that if you cross the I's, dot the T's, if you want to do it that way around, and that's how it is. So you're told constantly, if your mask slips below your nose, if you're in close proximity to the celebrities, or anything like that, it's hard work. And if you want to go back to a hot potato in the news, that's why Tom Cruise lost his shit. They're trying to keep people working, keep people in employment whilst fighting COVID, trying to do almost an impossible task. So
was he having a go at you? Was it you that broke?
He was. No. God bless Tom Cruise. I'm a big fan. He's a top guy, and he is single-handedly responsible for the wage check of what, let's just say, hundreds of people a day on set. And if one guy can't follow the rules that the rest of the world is following whilst we're in this global pandemic, then they need an ass kicking, because it's so different now, and it's so hard for everyone, and it's very stressful. And if we go back to the conversation earlier, just the world itself before the global pandemic was hard work, right? So now, with the global pandemic in our work environment, it's even tougher. How people cope, I don't know. We're all just getting by. But to answer your question, it's dramatically different. It's very hard, and everything has to be thought out and pre-planned. So, for example, you gave a thing about the shoulder moving. I then go, do I need that shot with the shoulder moving, or can I do without it? I never used to have to ask that question. I used to just go in and do it. Do I need to go back into that car, turn the steering wheel to bring the tyre around facing me, then the person come in and clean the car, and then go out and shoot one shot, and then go, actually, no, I didn't like that. Can we move it back again? It happens. Yeah. Then you've got to learn to have patience, and I've got to learn to have patience. So in some ways, one day has now turned into maybe 1.5, 2 days of work. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah, things are stretched.
Has it become any more efficient with your time, in the sense that, historically in certain industries, right? So I'll take motorsport just as an example. Old-fashioned, old school, out of date people, lots of paperwork, lots of bureaucracy. COVID-19 hit, the whole thing becomes digitized, and you don't speak to a person, you do no paperwork at all. Right. So I'm wondering
that's crazy.
With your staff, whether things have become like there's a little less bureaucracy because it's done digitally, or because you're planning everything down to the to the whatever you want to call it, like to the second, that the shoot becomes so much more efficient because you're not going, I might want that shot, or that person's dicking around. They're not dicking around anymore because they're there and they're focused because they've only got you for a day.
Creative people, I personally believe, also live in the moment, which can be a problem for what you're talking about, and for me it is especially because yes, you can plan everything till the land comes in, but until you're actually on that day, you don't know how you're feeling, you don't know what the vibe is, you don't know exactly what the light's going to be like if you're outside, the weather conditions might be off what you planned, and then you've got to change it all, and you've got to then weigh up the pros and the cons of changing it all to tick those boxes with the COVID pressure on you and the time constraints. And not forgetting it's winter, the days are so short. It is just a completely different ball game. It's a lot harder. It hasn't got easier, to answer your questions, and things have not got more precise. It's just perhaps you're cutting back more rather than overshooting. So that you can imagine, let's just give it a COVID day, you could just hold the camera and overshoot. Now you can't do that. You've got to be really, really precise. And, for anyone new to the game or anyone struggling, that's going to be a real challenge, and you're going to miss so many opportunities. However, that's just the nature of the beast, right?
Esports is up and coming. It's very, very different type. I mean, I don't even know why you could call it a sport. Maybe I'm just being really old-fashioned in that essence. But
competition, isn't it? It's competing against another person in another country, representing something else completely different. But I mean, I'm involved in it. So one of my contracts is with an eSports site.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting.
Hang on, what was that? Hang on, eSports, talk to me. Yeah, I can talk to you about that.
I mean, but is it going to be? Is it? I mean, Martin, you work with some amazing motorsport brands, and it's a very interesting thing. And I don't think in the next 20 years, or even before you decide to retire, which will probably be in the next 5 years, if you're honest, it will disappear. But
not now. Not now.
But I mean,
I'm selling watches. By the way, if anyone wants to, I've got a few watches here. I'm joking. I've actually got some watches here. If you're interested,
yeah, very nice.
Fiver. So this is what I'm doing to get through COVID, right? Okay. So to help with my sanity, sorry viewers, we're just doing off subject for quickly. I bought a watch repair kit. Look at that.
Oh, Look at that.
Yeah.
It's not
because I'm not paying £600 to fix my watch strap.
I'll tell you what, I might send you my watch. So is esports going to be a real game changer now? With this year has seen obviously Formula One drivers enter esports and play against people.
I'm going to weigh in on this, right? So
yeah, go.
It's fun and it's interesting, but we talk about experiences. The experience of watching an esports race is very different from watching a live F1 race. As in, you don't get the noise, the smell, the atmosphere, and actually from looking at like-for-like viewing, and I watched a lot of motor racing, esports motor racing, in lockdown, and some of it was quite good, actually. Some of it was not so much. It filters down like everything, doesn't it? You go into Formula One and DTM and Le Mans and everything else that falls down. And I know lots of the pros do it, and they're talented, like without a shadow of a doubt. Couldn't get anywhere near them. The consistency, the concentration, the ability of some of these people are amazing. It just isn't, for me as an individual, isn't as interesting watching it. Even to a certain extent on TV, watching British touring cars on TV is very, for me is more entertaining than watching the equivalent, in terms of hierarchy, eSports thing. Like Formula One is more interesting, even more interesting live. And I think,
but there's a challenge.
I completely disagree with you there. So maybe because I'm working some of the time, but I get days off when I'm at Formula One, and any sports. So I'm at home enjoy my sports kind of guy because I have the big screen on, the surround sound, and I can see the whole fucking thing from start to finish. At a Formula One track, sitting on a boat, going, here we go.
Yeah, by the way, when he's sitting on a boat, he is talking about your boat in Monaco.
Yeah, exactly.
but
and you're
guys,
like, oh.
To weigh in on this
then
one,
you've got the vibe of the crowd and stuff. So
I think this is it. I think Ben, from your perspective, you race cars. All right. I think that's where your feel from it comes from. Martin, on the other side, I flip it and go, most of the time you're bloody working. So yeah, I get your point of view. I can stand here in my wonderfully bright shirt as the referee on this one, guys, and say it's a bit of a mixture of two. There's some events you have an affinity to want to be there, and it depends how much interaction you can feel part of it. Two areas for me. Formula One is a premium sport. It is, you're in the stands. It's not very often that you'd be able to get closer to the action than the stands. You're pretty much just there watching the car go, whoom, whoom. Excellent. On the other hand, you have other sports such as MotoGP. You can get a little bit closer, or British Superbikes. You can actually get towards the pit areas. You can see how they're working. Give you a prime example of something is WRC, the World Rally Championship. You are inches away from the bloody cars at every point. You are aligning the racetrack. You can go to the service area and you can be shaking hands with the drivers, the pit crews, the teams, and you're part of it. You're made to feel part of it. This comes down to completely and utterly, and I'm not going to take any argument for the both of you, so you can fuck off, this comes down to simply a user experience. And this comes down to a customer's experience of what they want, what the racing environment is wanting to create. WRC wants to create adrenaline, and it wants to feel this, you're part of it. MotoGP wants to feel like you can jump on your bike and you can be just like a MotoGP rider. Formula One wants you to recognise that it is the premier sport. They are risking their lives doing these, amazing races, which are at the heat of innovation. There are the three different categories that we're at. And I think that's everything before that, your British touring cars and your Le Mans, they're all on the same sort of path and trajectory as that. So from both of your perspectives, I see it, but I don't really care what else you say because I'm right, you're wrong, fuck off. But
don't you think it's just another lane open for more entertainment? I don't even think they're comparable.
Absolutely. I think they're just different. The experience is different because one's very visual and auditory, but the auditory element isn't as compared to real life. It's different. There's similarities, but I think what's super interesting is what I love is the accessibility. That as in anyone can go and do it. They don't have to go and get time on track and get a race license and come up with a shitload of cash and then get a car and then the car fails. Anyone can do it. So you can put old Fittipaldi in the same race as Jenson Button, the same race as Lewis Hamilton, for example, with celebrities, or Tom Cruise.
17-year-old son downstairs.
Exactly. So it's accessibility, right? Accessibility from an affordability standpoint. Like you don't have to have a 15 grand rig. I mean, it might help, but like you can jump into it. Plus, although your son will tell you that you need a 15 grand rig, but like I just think it's accessibility that you can get the concentration. You can see it in like the pros. I'm talking esports pros, not Formula One pros. I mean, Verstappen being one of the very few, and Lando Norris that have flipped over to do both. But if you look at the pure esport pros and the level of concentration ability they have, but getting them on the same page as all these other people, Fittipaldi and all the old dudes, it's just amazing.
No, thanks very much, everyone, for listening. Really, really appreciate everyone joining in. If you've got questions, you can ping them to us, LinkedIn, on the webpage. You can find out a PDF. So what Ben and I are doing as well, Martin, we're going to throw you a few contacts into that as well, is that we create a PDF about the show as well, so you can download, find out some of the data. Hit up Martin if you need some of his professional assistance. If you want to talk to me and Ben, well, if you really want to, you can do. Our contact details are in that PDF as well. and links are shared on LinkedIn, Instagram. If you think anyone can make use of us, then please make use of us. Share the show, and thanks very much for joining us in. Much appreciated. Bye now. We've ended recording.
Is my check in the post?
Yeah, absolutely. I just.
Oh, fucking hell! I knew I was